Hey, it's Jocelyn here with Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, and I am excited to share with you things I am learning and have been learning, specifically right now with pregnancy. Before I became pregnant with my fifth baby, I would do an episode focused on pregnancy and an episode focused on motherhood. But where I'm in the season of pregnancy and it takes a little bit more of my time, I'm mostly focusing on pregnancy. But some of these tips you will find you can implement into your life even when you're not pregnant. But mostly this is for those pregnant women who want to have a more positive pregnancy, who don't want to dread every stage of pregnancy and all the annoying changes that comes with it, but want to have a better mindset with it and to be able to do it with God. That is the ultimate goal, I think, is to be a little bit more Christ-centered and focused during our pregnancies to help make them better, and that involves some conscious effort. Today, I am going to share with you some conscious effort I have had to make in this fifth pregnancy and give you some mindset tools to work with as you try to navigate your way through your pregnancy. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, host of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life, and I can help you. Thanks for joining. You likely have heard the definition of insanity. It's like one of the few definitions I have memorized. And basically the definition states it's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that was kind of my case when it came to pregnancy. Now, my first pregnancy was kind of an outlier. I ended up having an emergency C-section at 31 weeks with eclampsia and HELLP syndrome. But after that, my pregnancies kind of went by the textbook. They were like normal pregnancies. With each of those pregnancies, I learned a little bit more. And so it's kind of been a progression. And by my fourth pregnancy, I decided that I wanted to have the baby without the epidural. That just felt like the direction I wanted to go. I have done a lot of episodes on that. I will see if I can find the ones on that fourth pregnancy and link to a couple of them in the show notes so you can get more details, because that's not the focus of this episode, is not that fourth pregnancy. But nonetheless, when it was the fourth pregnancy, I was going to do it without the epidural. But I had kept basically the same everything. I mean, I kept the same doctor. I decided to go to the same hospital. And a couple things like that I just decided to keep the same, but I wanted to have a different result. I wanted to be able to do this unmedicated. And I will link to that story in the show notes, but it wasn't very pretty. But God did bless me to be able to do that fourth pregnancy unmedicated, or that fourth birth unmedicated. And so a few years later, I had a revelation that we needed to have another baby. And so here I am, pregnant with the fifth baby, and I realized that it was kind of insanity to keep going with the things I had been doing and expecting a different result. And so I had decided that I was going to do a home birth midwife. You can hear about that experience in last week's episode. That did not work out. And so I decided I had to shift. I had to change. I really loved my medical doctor. He was very personable. I feel like he cared about me as a patient, as a person, and not just a patient who was a number on his check. And that's something that's really important to me as a person when it comes to finding a doctor, is finding someone who does care And I like that. But he also was a medical doctor. And having delivered my last 3 babies, I realized that he was a very medical doctor. He was not really, I don't know what the word is, but he just wasn't into quite the natural and unmedicated birthing. And so I knew I had to change. The home birth midwife didn't work out, and I sincerely and seriously thought about just going back to him because I felt like I was being told no. But then this definition of insanity came up in my mind, and it was like, you're going to want different results but do the same thing. It's not going to work. And maybe there's something in your pregnancy where you're kind of thinking like, I just need to keep doing the same thing, or you don't even consciously think about it, but you do the same thing expecting different results. It doesn't work. Like, if your thoughts are always negative about pregnancy and you keep thinking that pregnancy is going to go better, it's not going to work. You have to shift. You have to shift those thoughts, or you have to shift your provider if you want a different experience. And that was the conclusion I came to, that I needed to completely shift away from a medical doctor. So even though I was told no by Idaho law that I cannot have a home birth midwife, I decided that I was going to do a hospital midwife. And I was going to look into hiring a doula. I also was going to look into what hospitals around the area, like what they offered. So I had a significant list of things that I was going to shift this pregnancy to hopefully make it better. And I am still in the midst of that. I did get referred to a doula that I just absolutely, like, we clicked. She just felt so right, and she is, in my opinion, a little bit expensive, but just from that first experience of meeting with her and visiting with her, I had a profound and overwhelming impression that I really needed her as part of my birth. And my husband wasn't really on board with paying for that because our insurance, well, the things we do for insurance does not cover a doula. So that was going to come straight out of our pockets. And anyway, I'll probably go into that story another time. He wasn't entirely on board, but over time I convinced him that I really, really wanted a doula. And so I decided I was going to have a midwife, which was like a woman doctor. I was going to have a doula. And I also found out that of the 3 hospitals that are close-ish, like within an hour drive from me, one of them does allow birthing pools, and the other 2 did not. And so to me, that was like, okay, if this midwife that I have chosen delivers at this hospital, I want to have the hospital that allows birthing pools. And so that's what I did. I am doing my best to create a different situation and a different experience rather than staying stuck. This often takes intentionality. It took a lot of effort. It took a lot of questions. It took my doula filling me in on information about the hospitals. I did not know that about the hospitals, that some hospitals actually allowed birthing pools. And the same hospital that allows a birthing pool offers nitrous oxide, which the other hospitals do not allow, which I don't know a ton about nitrous oxide yet. And I hope I'm saying that right. But from what I do understand is it's kind of a cheaper way to have a little bit of pain relief during contractions. And so that kind of appealed to me as well, that this hospital had that option. So it has taken quite a bit of questions and research to figure out and to change my scenario. And you're going to find that to be true in the case of your pregnancy. It's going to take effort. It's going to take effort to change providers if that's what you feel you need to do. For me, for a time, it almost felt easier just to go back to my doctor because it was easier. He knew me well, he was easy to work with, but I knew that if I wanted that different experience, at least for this go around, that's what I needed to do. And maybe you're in a spot where you feel really good about your provider and things are going well there, and that's great. But maybe there's another part of your pregnancy or your thoughts where you just keep being stuck in the same thing, but you need to intentionally do something to get unstuck. The first thing I would recommend is to pray. Stay near God. I think God really guides and helps us in these pregnancies. And He can help you to know the thoughts you need to think or the things you need to do to move out of this stuck phase of insanity. Because it is not fun to be there and to have that. So stay close to God, and He can help you in these endeavors. But also realize it's going to take effort, intentionality, and maybe even getting a little bit uncomfortable on your part to try to do these things or to try and think new thoughts. Mama, I know that this isn't easy. I know that pregnancy comes with a lot of choices, with a lot of decisions, with a lot of things that seem really hard to do. But I also know that you can do them. You can do these things to move yourself away from and out of insanity. I am really hoping that the situations I have set up will allow me to have a different experience, that this unmedicated birth won't be quite as crazy and almost not as traumatic as my fourth one, it was a little traumatic, but it was also beautiful. And like I say, I'll link to that in the show notes. But yeah, create a different experience for yourself. If you are struggling during this pregnancy to create a different experience and you just need pregnancy-specific encouragement, I have created a course that has 48 2 to 8-minute videos that you can listen to that will encourage you for finding positivity, for shifting your thoughts away from the negativity and getting you unstuck from this insanity that can come when you just don't really know what to do or what to think or how to do it. They are simple. You don't have to write anything down. You don't have to do anything other than allow your mind to work with the mindset exercises in the video. Allow your mind to shift in these endeavors. If you want an example of the audio of what one of these videos is like, I encourage you to listen to the one that says, if you're feeling discouraged in pregnancy, you are enough. And I will link that also in the show notes. It'll give you an example of what those videos are like. I know you can do this. Keep up the good work. I am cheering for you. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts for a better you in a positive pregnancy, in losing that stubborn baby weight, and becoming the mom you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. I can help you find the small, doable steps without drastic changes to your everyday mom life. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.